Welcome back. Carmichael Dave, Jason Ross, Christopher Lodge. And somebody who has a lot of stuff to do this evening.
Yes.
Hopefully he got a little extra sleep. Normally we talk to Coach Jim Less in the 6 a.m. hour, but we wanted him to get the beauty sleep, be ready to go. He's got an X and O tonight, dude.
Yes, he does.
Joining us right now, always a king, the coach of UC Davis Aggie basketball, and our friend Jim Less. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Your intro game on that last part is pretty strong. I got to work on mine. My intro game is kind of soft and weak. So
what can we do? What do you want? We can get the bells and whistles.
Very impressed with that. So we need to huddle up. But fire up. It's March Madness. Let's go.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. And I'll tell you what, you work with us on our 3-point game. And we'll work with
you. Good trade-off.
I'm feeling you're a little better at one than we are at the other. Coach, what okay, so let's just talk about Jim Less for a second. Do you, as a human, do you do anything different in your routine for big games like tonight? Do you sleep extra, eat differently? Do you switch anything up at all?
I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah.
So, I tend to do the same thing all the time on game days, and, just keep, the comfort for me is in that routine. And I even remember that as a player. And that was always a challenge when you went on the road, and people say, why do people win at home more than they win on the road? And it's just, you get into a routine and a comfort level that, puts you in the best place physically, mentally, to be as sharp as you can be. So now I've learned over the years, because of travel and different circumstances, to be able to adjust and navigate it, but still pretty strong creature of habit.
So, Coach, how about then, like, for preparation for tonight? Look, it's basically a new season. It's the tournament. This can still dictate how your season, the feel, the vibes, all of that. Do you kind of draw on, past success, past, things that went well against a team like Cal Poly? Like, what do you try to pull on for tonight's game?
Yeah, one is the sense of urgency, because losing, you're done. And so them having that sense of urgency, not that it's pressure, but that every possession is extremely important. And then really just getting back to who we are at our best, and making sure individually that guys feel that and understand that, and being great in your role tonight. You don't have to be anybody different, but when we're at our best, you're at your best in your role. And whatever that role may be, it could be a starter, could be a guy coming off the bench, could be a defensive guy, could be, a shooter who comes in and shoots. Just be great in your role and be a great teammate tonight. And then collectively, what's put us in a position to be successful. And for us, and we've talked about this a number of times, it's our defensive activity and creating turnovers, which creates offense for us, and we disrupt the flow of the other team, and we make them uncomfortable. That's a really good recipe for us. And when we do that, we're one of the best defensive teams in our league. And in a stretch where you got to play 3 or 4 games in 3 or 4 nights, defense is going to win. The best defensive team for these next 4 days is going to win this tournament. And so focusing on that, and then just, managing the emotions of, you've got seniors that are starting to feel like, hey, this could be my last college game. It could be my last basketball game forever. And so trying to keep them centered on the task at hand and the process versus the emotions that creep into a tournament like this at the end of the year.
Coach Jim Less joining us. Coach, I'm going to try to keep this as not long-winded as possible, even though I tend to be long-winded. Jason and I were talking yesterday about our NCAA brackets and how one of the things I brought up was with some teams, especially those with a ton of future NBA players, they'll come in, they're freshmen, they're one-and-dones, and those teams can look far different in the beginning of the season, and then they mesh and they begin to peak. And so you have to look a little deeper than their overall record. Whereas I'm looking at Cal Poly, you beat them twice this year, 77, 66, 65, 64. When you're talking about adjustments that teams will make from weeks 1 through 10 to 10 through 20, for et cetera, Is it a little bit different of an adjustment you have to think about as a coach who, let's just be honest, there's probably not as many one and dones in the Big West as there are in, let's say, the SEC or Big Ten? Is it a different dynamic for you when you're grading those teams?
Yeah, I think what's great as you're playing somebody a third time is just that chess match. And, you're sitting there and you're watching a team that you're going to play, and you played them twice. We played them in December early, and then, we played them in January. So it's been a while. So they've transformed and they've changed a little bit, and there's different nuances to what they do. And then you try and project that onto, okay, how does that affect us and what we have to do and what we have to prepare for? So that chess match to me is very intriguing and something that I love to do. In fact, just here sitting in the lobby, it's putting together offensive packages based on what I think they're going to do against us defensively that put our guys in the best position to be successful. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe they completely change what they're doing. And then on the fly, you got to be able to adjust. And that first time out, now you're talking to your guys, okay, they're not doing this. So now we got to be ready to do that. And so then that preparation has a plan B and plan C to it.
As far as, you guys, this is away, you're in not Vegas, Henderson, Nevada. What's kind of the protocol for the day? I know you don't play till later tonight. Try to keep guys off their feet. Like what's the plan for the Aggies for today?
These late games are a killer. Like waiting all day is the worst. I'd rather play at 10 a.m. And let's go. Let's wake up. Let's have a coffee and let's get it. Let's get after it. So we'll head over to the arena, which is great because we've got some guys that haven't played in this arena. And the Dollar Loan Center is a great arena. And so we'll get in there and get some shots up this morning. And then we don't have as much time as we normally do. So, after that, the guys will go to breakfast. Then this afternoon, we'll pick, we have a meeting space that's pretty big, and we'll actually walk through some things offensively and defensively just to make sure we're sharp in terms of what our defensive schemes are and some of those offensive nuances that we're talking about, make sure everybody knows their jobs and their responsibilities. And then it's just, getting the guys off the feet. We do, I think we do have a highlight video that kind of projects and gives a visual to, hey, here's the things when we're successful, when you're successful, here's what it looks like. Here's the energy we played with, just to kind of reinforce the mentality we want going into the game tonight.
Coach, look, better than anyone, not exactly going into the tournament with win momentum, currently on a 6-game skid, and I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but we've talked this year about you being, you have to be a psychologist as much as an X and O's guy at this level. Is there a part of you that goes, okay, guys, yeah, we've dropped 6 in a row going in, but we also got it out of the way. We got our worst stretch out of the way, and now's the time for us to start peaking.
Well, what we try to do is, hey, this is the third season. It's a non-conference season. It's the conference season. Now it's the postseason. Mm-hmm. And so you got to be able to hit the reset button. And again, it's less about maybe what we didn't do and more about what we did do that puts us in a position to be successful. So we don't dwell on too much other than, hey, I want guys feeling confidently, individually and collectively. And then it's up to us to make sure that they feel that confidence from the coaching staff that we're ready. And, you've seen this many times, especially at this time of year, that teams can flip the switch. Yep. And all of a sudden they can go on a 4-game winning streak and punch their ticket. And it happens every year. And it's, hey, why can't it be us? But in order for it to be us, we got to be at the best in our roles all together, coaches, players, and staff.
Coach, I'm curious now that we're at March, and you mentioned March Madness. You've had, as a player, you've gotten the tournament. You've done it as a coach. What's I don't know, just on your list, Jim Less's list of your favorite tournament memories personally?
Well, one of the things I try and impress the guys, and it starts really at the beginning of the year, is, the opportunity to play in that tournament is so special. It's one of the, in my opinion, one of the greatest sporting events in the world, and you can create a lifetime memory for yourself for a long, long time. That anytime that tournament's on and the excitement that it brings, you can say, "Hey, I've been there, I've done it, I know what it's like." And that's just an unusual, memory that you can have that's so different. So, having the guys with that sense of urgency that they can do that. And, as a player, and we had a really good team, and we lost to Louisville with Purvis Ellison, who ended up winning the tournament that year. And that was disappointing because I thought we had a team that could get to the Elite Eight or even the Final Four. We were that good. We had 3 pros. Hersey Hawkins was a great player. But it's less of a memory as a player and more as a coach, because you feel like, you're part of something in giving that lifelong memory to whether it's your staff or your players, and always having that bond of that team doing something special. And a few years ago, we were able to do it at UC Davis for the first time ever. And one of the goals is to get us back to that tournament.
Well, good luck tonight, Coach. I know you say you don't want to dwell on the negative. I will just throw this out with your prep later today. We haven't really discussed what Scott Marsh has had to do with maybe some of these losses. Maybe take a look at him, make sure he's on his A game. We've all got to be rowing in the same direction, Coach, and that includes Scott Marsh, who will be on the call tonight, and of course relaying all of that right here on Sactown Sports. I'm not saying have a talk with him, but I'm also not saying don't have a talk with him, Coach. I'll leave that to you.
Well, I'll just tell you this, the sense of urgency is at a premium, and if he doesn't produce tonight,
that's right.
We know who will be coming to next year's tournament.
That's right. That's right. Coach, good luck. We're thinking about you. We'll be watching, and we'll talk to you next week, hopefully to preview, not to recap. So good luck to you and the guys tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care. It's Jim Les. Tough words for Scotty. The
be on your game. It's not. This is time.
This is an amateur hour. Okay, Scott. You've been there. You've got a ring. You need to bring it. We'll take a break when we